I'm Lonnie Simonian. I'm a professor at Cal Poly, California Polytechnic State University in San Luis Obispo, California. And I'm here to share the results of the research that we've conducted to date on electrical distribution and construction, developing an agile supply chain partnership. This is a jointly funded research effort between NAED and Electri International. Are there any NECA members in the audience? Okay, so Electri International is the foundation for NECA. So we have essentially the two foundations co-funding the research. And that's advantageous for a number of reasons, not the least of which that the report results, we're soliciting results from both manufacturers and distributors on the one hand, and then on NECA contractors on the other. And the report is a consolidation of that research. So the report's going to be given to all members, and I think that further instills the idea of collaboration and the intent to have everyone that have an input on the report. We've got about 20 task force members, a little bit more on the distributor manufacturer side than we do on the contractor side. The amount of distributors and contractors is about the same, but with manufacturers, that side is a little bit larger. And we've gotten a lot of comments back. A draft report was issued on the end of September and gotten comments back. So what I'm going to do this morning then is share with you the results of where the report is at. We have comments from the task force incorporated. It's still at a draft stage. There is a handout here if anybody needs some. I think there's some, may I grab these? There's some extra copies up here. If you could pass those around. I'll let you know that this is as of a week ago. I have modified some of the slides since then and added some information on the slides as well. So the slides are going to reflect comments up till essentially yesterday. So there'll be a little bit of deviation from what we cover in the slides. I'd like to make this as interactive as possible. We've got an hour and a half reserved. It certainly can accommodate as many questions as you'd like. I've structured the presentation in the type of a reverse pyramid fashion. So at the very beginning, we're going to discuss some of the summary findings that would be in the executive summary report. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about case studies. We'll look at how we filtered some of the survey data. And then at the very end, I've got many more slides than what's in your packet, and we can discuss any of the survey comments. So there's approximately 90 slides in this. I'm only going to cover it as needed up until whatever questions you have. So I'll give you a report on the findings, and then we can take it from there. But please ask me questions so we can make this interactive. The other reason is I'm going to be reissuing this at the next level as a final draft within the next week or two at the latest. And I'd like to get the benefit of comments so I could also factor those in. So fire away with questions as we go through. So the white paper was distributed the end of September, and it's approximately 60 pages in total, but the white paper portion is about 25 pages. The rest is backup data and appendices. Comments were received throughout October and actually into this month as well. In fact, I'm still holding discussions with contractor representatives. So I want to make sure I can get as many comments incorporated before the next issue. Majority have been incorporated already, and as I mentioned, I plan on reissuing it in another week plus. So the summary findings, I'll make references in the PowerPoint to some of the report subsections. The summary findings confirmed that contractors frequently request several value-added services, which obviously is no surprise. That's in Appendix C. Then we conducted an analysis on the survey results for those services most commonly requested and where distributors were compensated through some means. And the two categories that we had in the survey that discussed compensation as opposed to being provided at no cost were a bundled price or charged a specific fee. So what we did was we took a look at all the different services throughout the entire project performance from contractors from the very beginning, from ordering all the way through to construction completion. And we took a look solely at those which were bundled with other services and a specific fee being charged. Because what we were attempting to do was to take a look at those services where there was some track record of costs that are reimbursed has begun, all right? One of the things that is embedded throughout is for manufacturers and distributors where there are services provided and those services are bundled, it is very much incumbent for everyone to know the true cost of those bundled services. I think many times some services are absorbed, and if, for instance, I'll ask you is when we get to them, I'd like to know, could you tell me, not giving me the actual answer, but if you can drill down to a certain level and know what the cost is for those services that you now bundle? Let's take a look at the results, and I'm going to ask that question. So this slide, let me tell you what we have here. This is Appendix D in the report. And in the report, we look at value-added services most commonly requested. This and the next slide are in order of chronologically in terms of overall time period and types of services. So we have ordering services, office and accounting, shipping and receiving, warehousing, and job site management. Now I'm going to go back. Those are the 5. Okay, so then we did a rank order based, and the rank order is the summation of where manufacturers and distributors were charged. They charged a bundle price or charged a specific fee. So it's the sum of the bundle price plus the specific fee, the sum of that as a percentage of total respondents, and then it's rank order based upon the highest. So for instance, we had 12 responses. You can see it get washed out on my laser pointer. The first line is 12 responses. Bundle price plus charge a specific fee, 4 out of 12. So 33% had some type of a cost that was passed to the contractor for providing that service. Yeah, please do. Yeah.
So the other 8, did they answer no, they don't offer it, or did they include it?
The fact that there was a response meant that they did offer it, okay? If they didn't offer it, it meant that there wouldn't have been a response to that question. So they did. What it means is it's in one of the other categories. I've got all the survey data. We can take a look at that to see specifically exactly what the categories were. Like, for instance, there would be a category that was provided at no cost. That is many times the category. I know, and that is many times the category. But we'll take a look at that. But you know, we struggled with how best to take the data. Just to put this in perspective, we asked questions of just manufacturers and distributors, just contractors, and then all parties. When you take a look at all the questions that were asked, just the question, regardless of how they had to give an answer, there were about 35 questions. And for instance, you can see that in these services, there were several sets of answers. This, for instance, ordering services, there's 4 there. Office and accounting, there's 4 there. So this was just one question, ordering service, and the other was one question. The point I'm trying to get at is there's hundreds of pieces of data. And when you filter, like looking at a subsect of this and a subsect of this, there's literally thousands of ways we can sort this information. What we were trying to get at is what's requested and what's compensable. That, okay? Starting out and then building upon that. So that's the basis. And thanks for the question. I encourage more. So ordering services, 33% was the largest. We arbitrarily made a cutoff of 20%. 20% was viewed as an acceptance in the industry of charging for those services, whether or not they're bundled or they're charged a specific fee. That's arbitrary. You can make that cutoff anywhere you want. 20% was chosen so to try and draw a medium between the fact that if it was just, for instance, on that one, 18, look at the bottom one, office and accounting services, weekly material summaries, 13%. So, you know, there is a basis for that, there is a basis for that being a possibility, okay? And again, the survey results drill down all the way down to 0, so we can take a look at that. Let's move on. Shipping and receiving, this is one of the two that was the largest category of services where fees were being charged. And again, it's in rank order. Emergency deliveries, 63% of the 19 respondents either had a bundled price or were charged a specific fee. And you can see there's several more here all the way down to 19. What we did on this table and a subsequent table coming up is we listed everything above 20% and then whatever the next item was down below 20% to give you a kind of a look ahead. And then the last two, warehousing and job site management, are here. Oh, and then, pardon me, pre-installation is here. So, I mentioned we used a 20% cutoff, minimum threshold. Then we took a look at all of those and we got rid of the extraneous data in terms of the percentages themselves. And we took a look at the two largest categories, okay? So we'll see that in the next couple of slides. So I mentioned how we sorted it previously. And then the annotation that we'll see coming up is the next most frequently received service. This table, the way that's shown, is in the following fashion. It is left to right, row by row. So emergency deliveries here, okay? That was the highest ranked, then job site delivery, then material tracking, then early AM delivery. If we go back to this table, we see that. Emergency deliveries, job site delivery, material tracking, early AM. Those were first, second, third, and fourth. So that's how to read these tables. Shipping and receiving had the largest amount of response within those categories and within that cutoff.
Can I ask a question on that?
Yeah, please do.
So in bundled prices, was there any a particular definition or requirements to be included in the bundled price? Or is that just interpretation for either the contractor, distributor, manufacturer to feel they got a little more for it? So there a clear definition of
No,
bundle?
there was not. It meant, we can go to the specific words. Let me just, we got plenty of time on this. I'm at slide 9. I'm gonna jump way ahead and I'm gonna give you an idea of what it looks like. And again, this is not in your handout because this is in the details. This is the raw survey data, okay? And it's gonna be a contractor question, okay? So here's the contractor questions. Okay, for instance, here's ordering services, okay? So the first question was, what ordering services do you provide? And then they're listed there. You can see the number of responses, okay? So for instance, here, we had 38 that provided product training and education, all right? You don't see the total, so you don't see what out of, but it was 67%, so it's 67% of the sum total was 38. Here is the categories that the contractors could choose from. Provided at no cost, bundled price with other services, that's one of the two I summed up, different for each project, charge a specific fee, promotion, and then total, all right? So what it says is that that was the amount of guidance they got. That was it. It was only bundled with, but those were the choices they had across the board, okay?
That was a contractor question.
This is a contractor question, correct?